I mean, honestly, like, even when I was here the first time, I didn't like it to be all about me anyways. That's never been my personality, you know what I mean? So for me, I like to fit in instead of like having to be the one to do everything, you know what I mean? I just like to vibe out and play football and, be around the guys. That's what it's always been about for me.
When you watch the game, because I see you on the sidelines, you're always kind of just like adding a little bit. Who do you find yourself talking to most during a game and like giving those tidbits to?
Probably Kobe and Julian.
Makes
First
sense.
of all, you know what I mean? Those are my guys. Obviously, my first stint, but like the safety position is what I know. You know what I mean? Obviously, I talk to Nick because I know Nickel and, Reek and Job and Spoon, but you know what I mean? Like, I really try to find the safeties and let them know what I'm seeing, kind of see what the quarterback's reading, and go from there.
Coach often says, right, if you follow the process, you have earned the right to feel confident, or you have earned the right to expect to win.
Right.
Why is that messaging important going into this week's game?
I mean, because you can never cheat the grind. You know what I mean? The game always knows when you're cheating, and when you put in the work each and every day, and, you be yourself and you do the things that you do consistently, you know what I mean? It's just go out there and go play the game and do what you do best.
Is it ever an internal struggle in feeling confident versus feeling overly confident? Because people have asked me that this week. Do you think the team is overly confident? I'm like, I don't think you know what high performance looks like. But internally, is there ever like a battle of how confident should I feel going into a game?
Yes and no, but like most of the time, it's the NFL. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. These are all great players. And at the end of the day, you just got to go do your job. You know what I mean? So, you can be overconfident, but I think it's a fine line between the two. And I think, we're really good at being who we are. And we're a confident bunch. We have fun. We loose. We focus. And, you see us. We all shadow box and doing those type of things. So we've been doing that all year. So that's just kind of what it is.
Outside of your position group, what other group would you like to be a part of in the building?
I'm always around the D-line. But I've always been like that, you know what I mean? I've always been around the D-line, and those are my guys, you know what I mean? And I always have a special bond with the D-line because I'm the little guy that's always tagging along with them, and they think it's funny, and, that's the guys I like to enjoy being around.
When you were growing up and you're playing football in the backyard and you are picturing yourself in the Super Bowl, who were you? Which player were you pretending to be?
Well, I was the quarterback, of course, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be anybody else, you know what I mean? You want to be the star of the show. That's how it goes. But I also played quarterback in high school and stuff like that. So that's kind of what it was.
Last question. If it were up to you, because I know what the young guys on the team have said, if it were up to you, what is the first song you would play in the locker room following a win?
That's a good question. Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I'm a Jeezy type of guy, so it's probably some Jeezy, Young Jeezy, maybe Chief Keef, you know what I mean, something like that. But I don't know what the young guys are choosing.
Well, the young guys are saying that it is a lot of Young Boy.
Oh, we listen to Young Boy before. Yeah, we listen to a lot of Young Boy, but we listen to a lot of Young Boy before the game, too.
Yeah. Well, Leo also said Paint It Black, but I don't think that's a post-game song.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Okay, well, here's what I am hearing. We need to let Quandre think about that for a little bit. We'll give him time, hopefully between now and Sunday, to weigh in on that one from the vet. Byron, it has been a week already of activities. At what point is it going to start feeling like the Super Bowl, do you think?
I say game day. I feel like that's when it's gonna really hit me for real. Especially like when it's time to go out that tunnel for the one last time. So that's when I think it's really gonna hit me like, man, we're in the Super Bowl.
I think it's interesting that it hasn't hit you yet.
Yeah.
And I've heard that from other guys on the team. Why do you think that is? Because for as similar as the routine has tried to be for you guys, it's very different.
Yeah, it's different.
So why doesn't it feel like this is a bigger game?
I feel like, we trained all year for this moment, like this is what we talked about since, the off-season program, OTAs, training camp, and now we're here. So it's just like, it's just like another week, another game, but obviously, this the Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year, the biggest event in the world. So I feel like when it's time to go out there, that's when it's gonna really hit me and the rest of the guys. Like, man, like we really here. This the moment we trained for. Now let's go out there and put on a show.
What is the Super Bowl tradition you guys always had at home growing up?
Family come over, got food. Mom, she cook for the fam. And, everybody in the living room, eating, having a good time, just watching Super Bowl.
When was the last time you had a true rooting interest in a Super Bowl game? Like it was your team that you were really invested in?
I'd say 2013 and 2014 when Seattle went back-to-back. Growing up, Seattle was my favorite team. So, and that was the Legion of Boom era, so I loved all them guys, and I was a diehard fan.
Okay, so then when you get on the field, which one of those guys were you pretending to be, right? Like, that did you want to be most like?
Man, growing up, I used to love, I loved all them guys, but I think the main guy, like Cam Chancellor, he don't even play my position, but that visor, and then the way he his demeanor and everything, the swagger he had out there on the field, like he just knew like nobody could mess with him, and he put the way he just instilled like fear in people and everything. So Cam Chancellor.
Cam was a good one.
Cam,
Bam, Cam. But I don't think it was ever an option for you to play safety.
No, never.
Did they? The first time you walked on the field, did your coach go, I know exactly what I'm going to do with you?
I grew up playing running back and linebacker. I made varsity my sophomore year, playing middle linebacker. I was like 250 at the time. Third game of the season.
Wait, I'm sorry. You were 250 as a sophomore.
250.
How tall were you?
Probably like, 5'10", 5'11", something like that, I think.
Okay. So you look like a grown man on the field is actually what I'm getting at. Like you're the size of our current linebackers, right? That's okay. Just checking. All right, now I can picture this.
Yeah. So made varsity playing linebacker. I say by like the third game of the season, it was like a play. It was a play where I go to D-line. I ended up making a TFL, and one of my coaches came up to me like, Murph, you ever thought about playing D-line? And mind you, like, I never see myself being a lineman or D-line. I'm like, I'll never play D-line or O-line, nothing like that. And I was like, no, I never thought about it, but he was like, man, you should give it a try. So I was like, okay. I gave it a try. Then before I tried, though, like the day after or something like that, I told my parents I was moving the defensive line. They looked at me like I was crazy. They were mad as hell. But man, everything worked out for itself. Like, started playing D-line. I grasped it. I learned everything like so quick. Like it was easy to me. It really became like second nature. Like in a matter of no time.
You get a TFL on your first play on D-line or in one of the plays, right? It's nice when you have stats. Was it challenging, though, if you go from linebacker, where presumably you are racking up tackles every game, to playing D-line where you're going to look at the stat line and some days there's going to be a 0 there, which doesn't mean that you didn't do your job, but is that a hard, like, mental switch?
Yeah. It's hard because, going from linebacker to D-line, you used to, as a lineman, you used to getting 10, 15 tackles a game. Going to D-line, you might end up with 0 tackles, probably 1. But it just goes to show that, if, say you got 0 tackles, but your backer got 15 or other guys around you making plays, you doing your job. So you pretty much making a tackle as well. But even though it's not going to show up on your stats, just being a team player and me, like, I take pride in that, I'm all about my team, helping my team win. So if I got to continuously, take on double teams and not make plays and hold up other guys and free up other guys to make plays, I'm good. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I do love that measure of success. Last question for you. Your game day meal, your pregame meal.
Yeah.
I assume it's the same every week?
Pre-game meal, I just eat breakfast. I eat the breakfast in the morning, and then have like another little meal before we head out. But
what is breakfast for you?
Breakfast, I get like 2 or 3 pancakes, probably like 3-4 pieces of bacon, hash brown, eggs. And after that, I'm ready to go. Make sure I got my carbs in, 2 orange juices. I'm good.
That is a lot of carbs, based on how you described it. At halftime, is it a grape or a strawberry Uncrustable for you?
At times, yep.
Yep.
Or also too, like some beet juice, to keep my blood flowing, keep my oxygen up, and everything like that. Like probably like a Gatorade. I always get a Gatorade. I always get a yellow Gatorade at halftime.
Okay.
Always.
I get a strawberry Uncrustable. That's what powers me. But he needs a little something else. Thanks, Byron, for pulling back the curtain on some of those defensive stories. Byron Murphy just told us what he eats before a game and at halftime. So, Uchenna, that is where we are going to start the conversation with you. Your game day meal is?
Well, first it depends on what time the game is. What time
Now,
is the game?
see, let's say that it's Sunday's game, because I think that this is a little bit of a tricky one.
Yeah.
Right?
Sundays, what time is the kickoff? I don't even know. 3 o'clock? 3:30?
3:30? So 3:30 kickoff?
So I got some time. So I'll probably start off in the morning, buy a nice breakfast. I'll probably get, some hash browns, some eggs, maybe some sausage or bacon. Keep it simple. And then that's around like 8 a.m. And then when I get closer to noon, maybe I'll have like a fruit smoothie just to get something refreshing. And I'm good, honestly, by then. I'm ready to roll.
And then at halftime, are you an Uncrustables guy?
I do like Uncrustables, but I usually do like a carbohydrates drink. Just make sure I got some carbs to extra fuel. But
I mean, I fuel up with an Uncrustable, but sure, we've got
those are good
different
too, yeah.
we've got different ways of doing that. How raucous do your position group meetings get when you start realizing the pressure, the plays, the playmakers that you have in this team?
Well, I feel like we're all pretty cool and calm, but really collected for the most part,
There's no
We've been
like
there before.
yelling, no screaming, no like, yeah, that was a great play. There's nothing?
Oh, no. It's some of those. You talking about after the game, like after we watch the film?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of like cheering, like, yeah, congratulations, but it ain't nothing too serious. I mean, guys are like, of course, celebrating each other and celebrating the moments, but it's nothing crazy.
What does it actually take to be happy for a teammate who is making plays?
It doesn't take anything. It's just who we are. We're a brotherhood. We're connected. So anybody makes a play, it's like we all make the play. Because we all put in the work together. So it's like we're all out there for each other at the end of the day.
Is there something different and special about this group? And I ask the question because it's very easy to say, hey, I'm happy when you get to the quarterback. I'm happy when, Murph gets a TFL. At the end of the day, your salaries are based on your numbers. And so it would be easy to be selfish and say, look, I need my numbers. What is it that has caused this team to be so unselfish and so celebratory for everybody making plays?
I just feel like when you're not selfish, that's when everybody eats the most. I feel like if everybody just does their job and not trying to be individuals, it all comes back full circle moment to where everybody can make their plays. For example, if we're pressure and the back end, and somebody a DB in the back guards their man. It gives me more time to get to the quarterback. You feel me? So and I can make that play. And then if I beat my man and I hit the quarterback, it makes the quarterback throw a bad pass. Now the DB's in position to make a play. So it's like it all goes hand in hand. And that's something we really pride ourselves on, is all being one, rushing as one, connecting as one, and just being together.
I'm curious how much difference a second or two can make, especially in terms of how quickly a quarterback gets the ball out. We've seen some really quick ones this year, whether it was Phillip Rivers or Matthew Stafford. When you take a look at Drake May, he tends to hold the ball a little longer, and the number does not seem excessive. It's 3.1 seconds. As compared to a Matt Stafford, that's an entire second plus.
Yeah.
How much difference does that make for you in particular at your position?
It makes a huge difference, because it gives me extra time to get to the quarterback and make a play. The longer the quarterback holds the ball, the better it is for everyone else, on defense, especially the defensive line when we're rushing. So, we'll try to take advantage of that as much as we can. I'm sure they know that too. I'm sure they do some self-scouting. They'll try to get ways to get the ball out of his hand quick, but when those opportunities present themselves, we got to make the most of them.
When you think about this defense in the regular season, there were incredible numbers that were associated with it. What's the one that you look at and say, that's the one that means the most?
I'll probably say our points per game, because that's really like a team effort. I feel like a lot of teams, when they get down to the red zone, they're not able to run the ball on us, and that's a huge testament to who we are as a team. It's like when it comes down to it, they don't run the ball on us. We don't allow. That's the type of identity that we put on the field. And when teams don't score on us, like we hold that. That's a very prideful stat. And a lot of guys on that team, hold that to a high standard. We don't let teams score; they can't win the game.
Okay, when you thought about winning the Super Bowl as a kid, and you're playing this scenario out in the backyard, what was the scenario? What position were you playing? How'd you win the game?
Well, of course, everybody, when they're younger, they want to be a quarterback, right? So I was at quarterback, and I just thought about making the game-winning play, just counting down 5, 4, 3. Similar when you're doing like basketball and you're shooting like the last-second shot. It's like just throw the Hail Mary pass, or whoever's open down, and the game's over and we win. So.
I don't think he is going to throw a Hail Mary pass, but I do hope he gets to rewrite a little bit of that story on Sunday. Yes. Thanks, Uchenna, for giving us some insight there. Patrick O'Connell is one of 2, I can't even say Montana natives because Ty Okada is not a Montana native, but he did play at Montana State. True or false, the entire state of Montana will be watching and cheering for you two on Sunday.
True. Great backing, great support and community.
Could you have imagined this is where you would end up when you signed with the Seahawks as a rookie?
It's hard to say that you can imagine that because there's so many players that go without playing in the Super Bowl or even playing in the playoffs for that matter. But obviously when you're coming to the next level, you're expecting to do great things and stuff. So it's hard to say I didn't expect it, but hard to say that I did at the same time,
When you were playing at Montana, was there ever a doubt that you were going to be able to make a mark in the NFL?
I'd say like when I first got there, it was definitely hard to say that I would make a mark in the NFL just because of the path I took, and actually getting there was hard. But once I started playing and excelling like sophomore, junior, senior year, then I knew that I had a chance and I would have a good chance of playing in the NFL as well.
I have watched you work and I've watched you show up consistently every day. What are the things that you have done kind of working in the dark by yourself to make sure that when your number was called, you didn't miss a beat?
Yeah, I'd say it all starts with the mentality, just knowing that the ups and downs are going to happen. Life isn't just one constant ride, it's just a roller coaster basically. So you got to ride the ups and the downs, and you got to know that it's going to happen. And then from there, it's just trusting my work, trusting my instincts and everything, building on getting better every single day, and then showing up and being the same person. And that's what I take pride in, is just being me. I don't have to go there and be anyone else, and I just got to be me and make the plays that I'm supposed to. So that's what I take the most pride in.
Who has the biggest personality in special teams meetings?
Probably Jay Harbaugh, honestly. He's just a great guy, great coach, and the way that he presents stuff to us, it's in a unique way, and it keeps us all entertained and keeps us all engaged as well.
What do you mean a unique way?
Just the way he coaches, it's unlike anyone else, and he'll bring up these random facts and quotes, and you're just like, where he just pulled that out of nowhere, but it's like in a way to keep you engaged, and it's just like so interesting, and the way that he does it it's pretty awesome.
Who is the teammate that you spend the most time shadowboxing with?
Oh gosh, either Uchenna or probably like Riley Mills, I would say.
And do you do that because you find that you have the upper hand against those two, or do you find that you are always trying to avenge yourself against those two?
Well, Uchenna would like to say he always gets the best. I'd say we're about even. Riley, yeah, I don't know. We're about even as well. So it goes both ways. It's just like boxing, Sometimes you're taking the punches, sometimes you're handing them out.
I have never boxed in my entire life, but I will take your word for it. I would imagine that growing up in Montana, it is really tough to play outside for half of the year, right? Mm-hmm. So what is the game that you played inside the house, whether you were supposed to or not? Like athlete,
I mean, even though my mom would get upset, no ball in the house, of course, we still would. But we would play like knee hockey. We had like mini hockey sticks. We would play that a lot, so there's a lot of checking. Obviously, we would play knee football too. So like in the small areas, we would just act like you're catching a kickoff, and then you're running on your knees, and we're still tackling each other in the house, which is awesome. My brother would take a ball and just rocket it as fast as he could at me to test my hands. So
That sounds painful all the way around.
Yes.
I mean, you're either going to have like sore knees,
Yes.
scraped up knees,
Oh, yeah.
rug burn knees. Like there's that does not sound pleasant. What is the thing that you broke while playing knee hockey in the house when you shouldn't have been?
I mean, lamps. We broke a lot of lamps. I don't know if anyone broke any bones or anything, but there was a lot of blood shed. And then we had a park outside our house, so we would also golf out there, and we had a lot of broken windows, unfortunately, and my dad would get very mad.
You know what? It was all leading to this moment.
That's right.
No, that's right. It was all creating a Super Bowl player. Thanks for the laughs and the insight, Pat.
Absolutely, thank you.
I swear, every time I see your name, I'm like, that's the head coach of Texas.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll get a picture in the mail of him, like, please sign and send back. Sometimes I just send it back. Sometimes I don't do anything with it.
Oh, my God.
It's like, if you took the effort to look up our address,
That's
look
true.
at my picture.
I
figure it
totally
out.
agree with.
Yeah.
I totally agree
Yeah.
with. There is a lot of media activity happening behind us. The Seahawks are wrapping up their final day of media availability at the Super Bowl. We are bringing you some of the sights and sounds. We are also bringing you tight ends coach Mack Brown. We were just kind of laughing about his name. If you know anything about college football, also same name as the former University of Texas coach. But that's not what we are going to talk about today. Coach, we have talked to a number of players about what the week has been like for them. What's changed for you? What stands out as being different from a normal week?
Yeah, definitely all the media. You know, having to do that every day has been different, but other than that, we've tried to keep the normal schedule and stay right on track. But meeting in a hotel room is different, whether it be a position meeting or a coach's meeting. You know, everything's pretty centralized, but try to keep everything as normal as we can.
How can you tell that the guys are locked in? I mean, they keep saying, we're not listening to the outside noise. It's a game week. How can you tell in those meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we got a really cool team that's been locked in all year. And you haven't seen any kind of change in them. You know, just because it's a Super Bowl, obviously it's a huge game, but nothing's different. It's our next game, and we're trying to play our best game yet.
Have you ever tried to play one of your tight ends as a whole shadow boxing competition?
Have
you
not.
joined the fun?
I have not, and I've intentionally not learned how to do it. But I mean, it's taken the team over. And they'll do it. They're not great. We had position by position battles, and yeah, absolutely. In team meetings, Nico organized that, and I think we made it an extra round, but we were not one of the best.
Well, I would rather that you be focused on other things
Yeah.
anyway. The personalities in your room.
Yeah.
Many guys have said Eric Saubert is the funniest guy on the
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
We know AJ's personality.
Yeah.
Nick seems pretty kind of low key.
Yeah.
Elijah still soaking it all in.
No doubt.
How would you describe the personality of your room?
Yeah, you know, Sabi's a savvy vet. He's been around a lot of different people. He runs the room, you know, personality-wise. He's seen a lot of things. The guys love him. AJ is AJ. Like, what you see with AJ is what you get. And I say that as a compliment. I mean, I love coaching AJ, but he's all energy all the time. He's locked in. He's enjoyable. You hit Nick on the head. You know, Nick's low-key, takes everything in, very organized, very detailed. But if you don't ask Nick a question, you're not going to get a lot out of Nick. And then Elijah's about as low-key as you can be until we put the pads on Sunday. And Elijah's personality really comes out on Sundays.
We know what those guys do at tight end, but AJ has really become valuable in that tush-push situation, whatever you want to call it. Was there ever any concern when he was tapped to be the playmaker in that situation, because he's so valuable?
Yeah, no doubt.
As you would like him as a tight end.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really goes back to Mike. Mike brought that idea up in the offseason. And it was kind of like, hey, we want to do this. Who do we want to do it with? And, you know, AJ was the guy who we decided to do it with. And so there was like a 2 or 3 week period where, you know, I didn't know if AJ could take a snap or not before we got into OTAs. And so, you know, I believed in him. But once he took the first snap, I was like, okay, he's got an idea what he's doing. And he's got the right mentality for it. And it's such a huge play for us.
If they legislate that play out of football,
Yeah.
how much does that change options on some of those 4th and short situations?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changes what we would do. You're going to have to run a couple of different plays, but we'll play within the rules, but do everything we can to keep that thing alive.
Lastly, I've been asking the guys, when they were kids in the backyard,
Yeah.
and you're picturing yourself playing in the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
what did you picture yourself doing
Yeah.
in a Super Bowl game?
Yeah, so I mean, growing up, I played quarterback, so I was always throwing the game-winning pass. But man, what a dream come true to be in the Super Bowl and have this opportunity. And I'm just excited for our guys. I mean, we have such a cool team, such a great group of tight ends. Man, they deserve this, and looking forward to watching them play on Sunday.
Yeah, we are looking forward to all of that energy and excitement from the field, too. That is going to be incredible. That is going to wrap up our conversations from media availability, and we will see you on Sunday.